with more action this morning. Staying with our art chats, art has always held a mirror to society, and sometimes it also sounds the alarm. And that's exactly what second-year drama students at Durban University of Technology are doing with the newest production, Umhlaba Uyalila, The Earth is Weeping. This original multi-genre piece blends dance, spoken word, poetry, and visual storytelling to address one of the most urgent issues of our time. It focuses on climate change. And so joining us this morning is Dr. Tamar Meskin, creatives bringing this powerful work to life. Dr. Tamar, good morning, and thank you for making time to chat with us here on the SABC at this hour.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, firstly, what an important, initiative and timely as well. And I just wonder if we're looking at the inspiration behind it, given where we are as a humanity, 2025 and beyond, the theme, the title, what went into this production. Perhaps you can take us behind the scenes and tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so basically we kind of do a sort of activist project with our second-year students every year. And last year we did something on the elections. So this year we were thinking about what speaks to young people, what speaks to the moment that we're in right now. And for me, this is a huge deal. I think really the floods that a couple of years back really brought home to us how close it is. You know, we often see stuff on television, we see stuff in the news, we know intellectually that there's this thing called climate change. But its impact on our real lives, on our day-to-day existence, I think is not often thought about. So what we wanted to do with this piece is to really try to capture the impact of the different elements of climate change on human lives, on people's lives today in South Africa, in the global South, which is often not spoken about as often as other places. So that was really what we were trying to do. And we had thought about a lot of different ideas, but actually my colleagues who are working with me, Mr. Mchali and Ms. Bani, were chatting, and I said, well, it's like we're crying. It's like we're weeping about something. And they said, oh, well, that's perfect. Let's call it Umhlaba Uyalila. And I was like, okay, because I don't really speak Isizulu, but it's wonderful because that's what it means. And it captures exactly what we think is happening in our world.
And speaking about capturing what's happening, I mean, perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about how you went into developing the script, the overall structure, because it blends many art forms. You've got music, visual art, poetry, dance. How important was that for the storytelling element at large?
Very important, because it's a subject that goes beyond just a single story. So we didn't want to just tell a kind of conventional theatre narrative that looks at one family or a few characters. We wanted to look at something that would really be able to capture a vast canvas of different ideas and to cover a lot of different elements of climate change. So we decided not to work with realism. We're working with a very stylized genre that works with evocative imagery, works with trying to capture moments through poetry, through word images, through dance images, a lot of music, which is original music that has been composed, and particularly also working with the visual landscape. We're very, very privileged to have one of South Africa's best photographers, Val Adamson, is working with us on the project, and she's created a visual landscape, if you like, for the work, which will be a counterpoint for what is going to be going on the stage. So it's very much a sort of mood piece, like performance art in a way, which takes you almost into a living museum and allows us to see different moments from time.
Yes, and I mean, given those conversations and the nuance, the layers that come, the nuances and layers that come through it, the students themselves in shaping the narrative, what role did they play in that? I mean, particularly connecting to these issues from their vantage point. They're obviously younger, so they're able to give a different idea of the risks and the need for change to come as a result.
Hugely, and that's the whole point of this process. We're working with a devised theatre methodology, which basically means that all of the material comes from the participants. We aren't creating the material, they are developing it. So we will give them, for example, we give them an exercise and we say, we divide them into groups and we say, okay, you've got the subject of drought or you've got the subject of famine, and we play around with some ideas, and they brainstorm, and they make Twitter feeds, X feeds, I think it's called now, and they do what they imagine an Instagram post might be, or they create a short sequence, or we did an exercise where they had to create sort of 3 images that would be a news story. And then from that, they build different aspects, and then we work with what they've created and edit and rework and change and add and stylize even more. So, they might start with a court case, for example, but then we take that court case and we twist it around, we play with it so that we pull out the core components. But the material that is on the stage eventually is all created from the students' own input. It's their imaginations that are coming to the fore. And that's what's so important about this kind of work, because it's not me or my colleagues who are, the adults in the room kind of thing. We aren't the ones who are making the story, they are. And I think that's what makes it so exciting.
So Dr. Tamar, it literally is about art as activism, and perhaps also, looking at what the future is then going to look like, because we're dealing with what's happening now and looking ahead. I'm going to leave the conversation there, but thank you for joining us at this hour and for weighing in on such pressing issues. All the best as well, of course, that they continue to unfold. Dr. Tamar Meskin this morning chatting to us about Umhlaba Uyalila, that art exhibition that obviously is underway.